It's a comic book adaptation of a screenplay. You might know that much. It's a sequel to the 1984 cult film punk ethos classic, Repo Man, starring a certain young gun and Harry Dean Stanton. I could say that Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday is about a guy whose name isn't really Waldo. It's about an elusive holiday that promises to be the end to dead-end jobs. A holiday that will help him get the girl. A holiday that will save him from his wage slave existence. And also save him from his post-punk, post-Martian youth. A holiday that may even happen if he's lucky. This book is cynical and sarcastic, and it questions just how much control we have over our destiny in a world full of real aliens, real alien ideas, and very real hucksters. Now, I recommend that you buy it. I'm sure the artist does, and the publisher. Get it signed here. Because it's not every day in Australia that we get to launch a comic like this. Now, these are rare things on our cultural map, and I think we need to examine them a bit more. And Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday has its own story. Now, it's a unique story amongst the few graphic novels that have been released over the last few years. So just how did it get here? Some 15 years since conception, its somewhat extended gestation sprang from the mind of Alex Cox into a screenplay which lay fallow and unproduced. Characters looking for expression, yet there they sat, biding their time, stewing in the squalor of neoliberal economics in America in the 1990s. Money couldn't be raised, times move on. It went into a drawer until enter Chris Bones. With the balls, nay, the testicles, to simply ask if he could adapt the unfilmed script. Now, upon seeing the artwork, Cox agreed, and the rest, well, I'll leave the details up to them. But let me say one thing about these guys, Gestalt. They dare to have a vision. They dare to be an Australian graphic novel publishing house. Now, so far they've done it pretty well. Very well, even. And what's more, they do it with style. They do it with character sketches and vowels, both on sale in this fine bookstore. Please pick one up. Someone will sign it for you.
I'll sign it.
Yes, Chris will sign it. And they've done it again with Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday. Against all odds, and some would say against all reason, they continue to produce quality work, global in its perspective. Now, I congratulate Bones, Randall. Where'd Randall go? There he is. Sorry, dude. Down to the stairs. No, that's cool. And of course, Wolfgang, for taking on this task, for thinking outside of the norms for an Australian publisher, for seeing our scene tied seamlessly into the global. Please raise your drinks, or your empty hands, and toast with me, please, to Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday. And to Gestalt Comics. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
And I now introduce Wolfgang from Gestalt. Have a few words.
I'll keep this mercifully brief. Firstly, I'd just like to thank Brunswick Bound for their support. They've been sensational in all they've done to make this night possible. I'd also like to thank Mr. Retallick for agreeing to help out with all he's done tonight. And also to thank Justin Randall and his wife Nikki for venturing all the way over from Perth for this evening alone.
Yeah.
And now the speech. Repo Man was one of the seminal cult movies of the 1980s. When Bones delivered us the concept of a graphic novel sequel that took the punk aesthetic of the original film and delivered it kicking and screaming into the 21st century, how could we possibly say no? Waldo itself is something of a chimera, disparate elements from various sources that work in harmony, in unison. Eccentric storytelling from Alex Cox, intricate layered artwork from my distinguished colleague Mr. Bones, and the deeply expressive and vibrant tones from Mr. Randall. We'll hear from Bones in just a few minutes, but Alex Cox, who couldn't be here today, did ask that I read the following in his absence. 10 years after Repo Man, I started work on a new screenplay about that film's protagonist, Otto. I didn't know what had become of him at the outset. At the film's end, in Repo Man, when he flies away in the coveted 1964 Chevy Malibu, had he been transported back to the Cretaceous period? Or was he kidnapped by aliens, and for more than 10 years held prisoner on Mars? As I wrote, it became apparent that Otto's memory of that period, and of much of his previous existence, had been erased by his mysterious kidnappers. Somewhere en route back to his home planet, he had somehow acquired a new name. And because this was the welfare-to-workfare society now, there was no slacking off for Otto once he was restored to his old home in his parents' garage. Like all of us, he must earn money, must get ahead, must meet all the original characters from Repo Man who, like him, were nearly 15 years older, and also going by non-studio owned nor copyright-protected litigation-free names. I showed the script to Repo Man's production team, and so the clan gathered once again in the office of a sprightly junior executive. This person brightly explained to us that, though they'd never seen the original film, we'll take a look at it. Strangely, we heard no more. We battled for a couple of years to raise the budget for an independent feature to star Emilio Estevez, Harry Dean Stanton, Willem Dafoe, and other notables. But our struggles were in vain, and Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday sank back into my dusty pile of 35 other unmade feature screenplays. Until 2006, when Mr. Bones came a-knocking. The book may have begun as my script, but upon passing the necessary rights to Gestalt, I remained lazily detached from the creative process. So any kudos really belongs to Messrs. Bones and Randall. We're very pleased to be publishing Waldo, and to have strengthened our professional relationships with both the guy with the small bladder and Justin Randall through the entire, often painful process, which is continuing on tonight. Here's to Bones, here's to Randall, and here's to Waldo. And whatever comes next, I'm looking forward to it.
Woo!
Yeah. You got rid of the buy my book thing. That was like the best part. Buy my book. This thing took a year of my life. It took a year from Randall's life, which he's not missing. Damn near killed Wolfgang. How you so wrote this, didn't you? And for what? We now have a graphic novel sequel to one of the weirdest studio films ever made. When I first read the script, I kind of understood why the financing wasn't approved by and why Emilio Estevez turned it down, stating that it was not right for his career. This is a very weird book, and trust me, you'll love it. Your mom will love it. That's a good assumption. I love that. I totally would have said that if I was in charge. More than anything, I'd like to thank Randall for doing an awesome job coloring the book. It's about time he did something.
Yeah, about time.
I'm sorry, what? I'd like to thank Wolfgang for his tireless professionalism in ensuring that everything came together as well as it did. Applause. Wouldn't be here without you. Where am I? Without those guys, I'd have probably done this in crayon and just passed it out as copies on a street corner. Probably would have helped if I didn't drink that bottle of gin the other night and read the actual speech that he wrote. So I'm going to do my speech now, which is thank you all for coming here, and thank you all for tentatively buying my book, because if you don't, I hate you. You're an ass for drinking all my beer. Other than that, I want to thank all the guys that helped me out at the convention. That got a ton of people coming by, minions.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
And most of all, I want to thank my wife. That little girl over there, hiding in the corner, Melanie Louise Jamison. Without her, this wouldn't have happened, because she totally sleeps with me. Thank you all for coming, and buy my book.
Have a drink, buy a book. Not the book, just a book. The book, okay, buy the book. Get it signed. There you go. Chris and Justin will be available shortly to sign books at the front table. So again, thank you all for attending. Do buy the book, get it signed, and here's to Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday one more time.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Wolfgang, thank you. Come on, beer and music, people, come on.